Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 5th. I'd like to call this meeting of the Laramie City Council to order and invite you all to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd like. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. City Clerk, you can call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
O'Doherty.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Okay. Shumway.
Here.
Somerville.
Here.
Cumby.
Here.
And Harrington.
Here.
That is 9 present, 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. I appreciate that. We're going to move then to public comments on non-agenda items. We have 2 people signed up to get us started. After that, we will move on to any others in the room. Bern Haggerty is first. Please come forward. Thank you for being here. Give us your name, and you will have 3 minutes.
We can be faster than that.
Is the green light on over there? On your microphone?
Green light's on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm Bern Haggerty. I live in Laramie, and this is...
Hello, my name is Mara Hill, and I also live in Laramie.
We're here to thank you for placing a resolution in support of passenger rail service on your consent agenda. So thanks for that. And thanks to your staff for improving the version that I submitted. The resolution is self-explanatory, and for the folks in the room, the Federal Railroad Administration has identified 15 preferred long-distance passenger rail routes to restore, focusing primarily on the ones that were terminated in the past. And in the next phase, they will identify some smaller number of recommended routes. And so I see this as like basketball tournament. We've made the Sweet 16, and we want to make the Final Four. Public comment on that next phase is due this Friday, February 8th. That's why we kind of rushed to get this on your agenda. We submitted, you'll see a packet of signatures on a sign-on letter with about 100 signatures from local residents asking you to do this. The county commissioners this morning passed a similar resolution, so my plan is to submit those 2 resolutions to the Federal Railroad Administration with comments, and hopefully we'll make the next cut.
Yeah, and those signatures were collected over a period of just 2 weeks. So if you want more, we can get them.
Well, thank you both. Yeah, appreciate you taking time to be here this evening. Thank you both. Steve Grabowski, please come on forward. And as a formality, we'll need your name. You'll have 3 minutes. It seems strange, but
Yes.
there it is.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, my family's been in this neighborhood since Louisa Swain, our very distant shirt-tail relative, cast that famous vote back in 1870. And really, we'd like a little attention. Our parking seems to keep being diminished, and I know some of my business relatives are hanging by a thread right now, especially the 3rd Street ones, and then some of the people, especially on our block on 2nd Street, are wondering if they're going to make it when the parking gets shut down. And yet, unfortunately, please, not most of us, but some of our neighbors downtown who own businesses park on the street every day, constantly, almost 24/7, and nothing happens to them. We're supposed to be having apparently a dedicated employee supposed to be taking care of this right now, but very, very little. And we need a solution too, because some people can look out of their windows when they see a uniformed policeman come down the street, they suddenly rush out because they maybe have 8 or 10 or 12 different windows owning 3 or 4 businesses, run out there, move their cars only when they see a policeman coming. needs to be something where ununiformed plainclothesman comes out or something, and it doesn't have to mark the tires. I understand there are little machines that will do this, read the plates or whatever. Or you can come in my store and look out the windows if you like, plain clothes, or come in the back door or something. And I know other people who would cooperate with this, and it wouldn't take long, and suddenly they would maybe park where they're supposed to park. If somebody gets my parking in the back, which happens oftentimes up the street, there's been construction there or this or that, I go down, park across the street for about 5 minutes, turn on my lights, turn the sign around, put up a "Be Right Back" sign, take my car and park it in the all-day free parking lots, which people are maybe getting a little bit more aware of now. Come back until whatever is gone and put up the sign again, bring the car back and park in my back again. If people can't park, they can't shop, or they won't shop. And the crazy thing is, they'll go to Walmart, walk 100 yards to the door, another 100 yards inside the store, nobody there to help them. But downtown, if they're just barely around the corner, three parking spaces away from you, that's too much, that's not convenient. Please help us, please, at least, if not all the time, once a week, different day each week, go around and mark things. It's not the customers we're trying to get after. That brings you taxes, if that's what you're after. Help us downtown. And by the way, give us a sign pointing to the historic downtown. There's one at the south end of town pointing this way. And when you get here, you see, okay, some buildings from the 1930s, 40s, 10s, whatever. All the stuff from the 1800s and all the historical stuff that people come from around the world to see this town for is nothing pointing to us downtown. The museums, the history, the Transcontinental Railroad, the Transcontinental Highway, things to remind people of the 6 TV shows that they watched all this time and all the movies and everything else. That's what they get off the interstate for. I'm probably running out of time, but
You sure have.
Thank you for your consideration.
I always hate cutting folks off. So, yeah, thank you, Mr. Grabowski, and we are sure working on some of that. So thank you for taking time to be here. Anyone else wishing to speak during the non-agenda public comment period? Please come on forward. You go ahead and come first, and then Commissioner Gosar next. Mr. Gosar, I'm not sure what hat you're wearing.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Hershey. I'm the owner of Digital Doctors Cell Phone Repair located at 306 South 3rd Street. My business has been in operation for nearly 10 years here in Laramie, which is not a small amount. You know, a lot of businesses fade quicker than that. Digital Doctors is a unique business in Laramie and the oldest of its type in the entire state of Wyoming. Since opening in 2014, my business has generated approximately $75,000 in sales tax revenue. I know I'm not Walmart, but that adds up and it means something. I mean, you guys could build a park with half of that revenue, your cut, something like that. There's been a lot of little projects like that that I'm proud of, you know, that you've done here in Laramie, and it makes it look nice. I'm here tonight to request this council's assistance in continuing to generate that much-needed sales tax revenue that benefits Laramie and its residents. In particular, I'd like to speak about business access and the difficulties facing downtown businesses. All of downtown's on-street parking is currently designated as 2-hour parking, 24 hours a day. However, since there is no regular, and regular being the key thing there, enforcement of the city's parking ordinance, there's no respect for that ordinance. This means those parking spots are often not occupied by vehicles which remain there for the entire day or longer. Downtown businesses absolutely rely on customers being able to easily access their storefronts. Myself, I help a lot of elderly people. I deal in cell phones, technology, and that's a big impediment for a lot of the elderly. I have a lot of people that come from the Epson Center who they have difficulty getting there if they can't get in. Oftentimes the bus will need to drop them off in front. If those cars are parked there all day long, that simply can't happen. when these spaces, all the parking spaces are continuing occupied by business owners, employees, tenants, upstairs tenants of all the buildings in downtown, customers cannot access those businesses and they cannot shop, spend their money, and allow those businesses to generate profit and sales tax revenue. I would like to request daily enforcement. We need something regularly. If it's not a regular thing, people are going to continue to take advantage of the situation. Daily enforcement of the 2-hour parking code and ordinance. Currently, to receive parking code enforcement, one is required to call the Laramie Police Dispatch Line. On multiple occasions, simply requesting that the city enforce its parking ordinance has resulted in retaliation against those who have called in by those who illegally parking in the 2-hour limits. I don't believe that the city should put the burden of enforcing the ordinance it adopts upon the citizens when we have and fund a police department to do so. In summary, please start daily enforcement of the downtown 2-hour parking as is stated on the numerous signs posted throughout the downtown area. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Hershey, for taking time to be here. Pete Gosar, come on forward. Welcome.
Thank you. Pete Gosar, Laramie, Wyoming. I'd like to say thank you to the Laramie Police Department and to you. Recently, a few weeks ago, we had an incident where a person was experiencing a mental health crisis, was really in a bad spot, had thought about some violence, and had expressed that to members of my staff. I was not there. They called the Laramie PD, and they handled it just amazingly well. De-escalated the situation and took care of the gentleman. I am so grateful to live in a community that values people and knows how to deal with folks who are just in a crisis. And so I'd like to thank Chief Brown, the members of his team, and then also you for being such supporters of the CIT training that was so meaningful to my person on one day a few weeks ago. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we would echo that, Chief Brown. Thank you. I don't recall what the actual statistic is, but a significant portion of our police department is CIT trained, much higher than the national. 85, is that correct, Chief? When the national average is significantly less than that. So thank you. It is meaningful. Any other members of the public wish to speak on non-agenda items? Okay, we're going to close the public comment period and recognize the Vice Mayor for setting the agenda.
I move that the agenda be set as submitted.
Second. Motion by Cumby, second by Newman. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, the agenda has been set. We're going to move on to proclamations, public hearings, and notifications. And council members, I have a couple proclamations for the evening. First, I'm going to start with the Disabilities Month proclamation. Excuse me. Whereas disability in no way diminishes the right of individuals to live independently, enjoy self-determination, make choices, contribute to society, and experience the economic, political, social, cultural, and educational mainstream of American society. And whereas family members, friends, and members of the community can play a vital role in enhancing the lives of people with disabilities, especially when the family and community are provided the necessary support services and public and private employers are aware of the capabilities of people with disabilities to be engaged in competitive work in inclusive settings. And whereas the goal of this city include providing individuals with disabilities the opportunities to support to make informed choices and decisions, live in homes and communities where they can exercise their full rights and responsibilities as citizens, pursue meaningful and productive lives, contribute to their family, community, state, and nation, have interdependent friendships and relationships with others, and achieve full inclusion in society. And whereas thousands in Wyoming face challenges with disabilities Disabilities Daily. And whereas the month of March has been designated as Disabilities Awareness Month to celebrate and recognize disabled individuals and promote awareness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Brian Harrington, acting as the mayor and president of the governing body of the city of Laramie, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as Laramie Disability Awareness Month and encourage all citizens, businesses, public and private agencies, religious and educational institutions to join in observing the month in honor of persons with disabilities. And I think we have Gabriela Sala and Melissa Villalava, forgive me there, and maybe members of our disability, are those members, Councilor Doherty, of our Disabilities Committee? If you all would like to come forward, we're going to join you for a photo. And council members, we're headed down there. We're going to go down. We're going to go right. We'll be right down to the beach.
Sounds good.
We're coming to you guys. We wanted to take a picture with you.
Oh, I see.
Which one of you two would like this?
You want to hold it? Sure.
You guys are.
I'm tall. Hi, Gabby.
Oh, you're tall.
A foot taller than me, so you're.
I'm back here, right in the corner.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you, City Clerk. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Did you want to say anything?
We'll cruise back around. If you want to say anything, we'd love.
Should I have this?
That's yours.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now, we're going to circle back. If you guys would like to speak, you're welcome. Just give us a minute to walk.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry.
All right, thanks for the patience as we wandered around. Hi, Gabriela.
Hi, I'm Gabriela Sala. I'm a member of the Laramie Advisory Committee on Disabilities, and as is Melissa there. I just wanted to say thank you for this, and as part of the commission, what we try to do is encourage awareness and increase awareness of the obstacles faced by people with disabilities. In Laramie, we do attend several events throughout the year. I think we had a table at the Luau at the Rec Center last week. We're usually at Freedom Has a Birthday and at the Pride Day event in the park. So we do try to reach people that way and try to advise on what are some things that could be done around Laramie. And one thing we're recently focusing on, which is an ongoing thing during the wintertime, is snow removal. So we've kicked around a lot of ideas on how to get like snow angels or people to help those who are elderly or disabled and can't quite shovel their sidewalks, as well as making sure the sidewalks are clear for people with mobility issues. So keep an eye out for some of those sort of, I guess, plans, I hope. And then I appreciate this proclamation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks for the service on the Disabilities Committee. I can never keep those straight. All right, we're going to move on to our next proclamation for AmeriCorps Week. Whereas 30 years ago, Congress established AmeriCorps, formerly the Corporation for National and Community Service, to unite national service programs under one agency, create service opportunities that strengthen communities, and expand pathways to education, careers, and civic participation for those who serve. And whereas service is a hallmark of the American character and has the unique ability to bring people of all backgrounds together in common cause to meet our country's most pressing challenges. Whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps Seniors programs provide opportunities for 200,000 Americans annually to serve their country through service at nonprofits, schools, public agencies, and community and faith-based organizations across the country. And whereas national service represents a robust public partnership public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas in Wyoming, more than 500 AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers of diverse ages and backgrounds help to meet local needs in more than 100 locations in Wyoming by responding to disasters, mentoring children and youth through the Foster Grandparents Program, supporting veterans and military families, fighting the opioid epidemic, restoring the environment, and whereas AmeriCorps member and AmeriCorps senior volunteers encourage collaboration and partnerships, leveraging millions of volunteers in service and acquiring the support of business, foundation, and other local partners to increase the effectiveness of their initiatives. And whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior programs strengthen bridge-building skills by bringing people together from different backgrounds, generations, and geographic locations to address the critical issues facing the country, forge relationships, cultivate mutual respect, and help build resilient and thriving communities. And whereas volunteering prepares AmeriCorps members for future careers and improve the mental well-being of AmeriCorps senior volunteers, and their commitment to service reflects the dedication and patriotism of those who serve. And whereas through their service, AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers improve the lives of their families, strengthen communities, and foster civic engagement in Wyoming as a whole. And whereas AmeriCorps Week is an opportunity to recognize the dedication and commitment of the 200,000 members and volunteers who serve each year, the more than 1.25 million AmeriCorps alumni, and millions of AmeriCorps senior volunteers and their community partners, as well as to encourage more Americans to follow in their footsteps of service. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Brian Harrington, acting as the mayor and president of the governing body of the city of Laramie, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim March 10th through 16th, 2024 as AmeriCorps Week in Laramie. And I believe I saw Angie Fessler online, but I don't know if we have anyone in the room as well who would like to speak to the council or, as importantly, accept this proclamation. Oh, please come on forward. Thank you for being here. Let's let him speak first, and then we're gonna come down for a photo afterwards.
We'll let Angie speak.
Oh, great.
She declined to join.
She did.
Angie, you brought this to me, so if you're gonna have to talk here. So the city clerk has invited you. You just have to click the thing to enter the room. There you go. And thank you for being here, Angie.
People are shy.
Yeah, sorry, not everyone's an extrovert, I forget. And if you're speaking, Angie, you're muted, so just unmute, and if you have anything to say to the council, we'd sure invite it.
Letting me. Oh, there we go.
There
I think
go.
I got it. Okay. This is Angie Fessler. I'm the foster grandparent coordinator, and I just want to thank you for the proclamation, Brian, and the council. And I think Jody Lowe is a foster grandparent who is there to accept, and possibly Cindy Marchitelli. So they're there to accept it, and we just appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you both for being here. If you'd have anything you'd like to add, you're welcome to. Otherwise, the council's going to run to you real fast
Okay,
for a
you
picture.
can run.
Ready, set, go.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Who wants to hold this?
Okay. I was trying to read her. I'll scoot back like this.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you both for coming.
All right, everybody. And we're going to move on from proclamations to one presentation. And I see Natalie Flood is on Zoom with Wyoming Community Gas. Thank you for being here, Natalie. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to join the call this evening. I'm here to talk about Wyoming Community Gas and the benefits it provides to the city of Laramie. So Wyoming Community Gas is one of the natural gas suppliers that participates in the annual Black Hills Choice Gas program. This particular program offers customers in Wyoming the opportunity to shop around for a competitive price for their natural gas and choose a price option that best suits their individual needs. I want to quickly remind everyone that the Choice Gas enrollment session for this year starts on April 4th and ends on April 24th, and selection packets will be sent by mail to all customers that are eligible to make a selection around the 1st of April. So be on the lookout for those. The City of Laramie is one of the 24 Wyoming Community Gas member communities in the Choice Gas service area. As a member community, the city receives a distribution each year from Wyoming Community Gas based on the number of customers in Laramie that choose them as their supplier. In June of 2023, the Wyoming Community Gas Board met to finalize and approve the budget and community distributions based on our overall performance during the April enrollment session last year. I'm pleased to announce that the board approved an increase in total community contributions of $10,000. And as a result, the City of Laramie's distribution came to $25,700.20, which is an increase of more than $1,000 over last year's distribution. So this year, the City of Laramie has decided to split the total distribution between three fantastic organizations: the Laramie Soup Kitchen, the Downtown Clinic, and the Interfaith Good Samaritan. Each of these organizations will receive a check from Wyoming Community Gas in the amount of $8,566.73. I believe we have representatives present tonight to address the council and share how this funding will support their efforts. And I just want to, before they come up to say hello, I want to thank you guys again for allowing me to speak today and urge everybody to keep an eye out for your selection packets in the mail around April 1st. So I believe we have Ted from the Laramie Soup Kitchen, if you want to come up first, Ted.
Mr. Kramer, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, Council, and Natalie. This is always a great time of year. My name is Ted Kramer. I'm the Executive Director of the Laramie Soup Kitchen. We've received this funding for a number of years now because of your guys' selections of our three agencies, and we're just so appreciative of that. It's always wonderful to receive funding, especially unearmarked funding, that allows us to put it towards the biggest needs of the organization at the time. If you're unaware, the Soup Kitchen does provide hot, nutritious meals Monday through Friday from 10:30 to 1:30, and that's just our main part of what we do. But then on top of that, we do so much more in the way of sharing the food resources across the community, making sure that as many individuals as possible who are in need have access to food, and not just processed food. For example, over 80, actually last year, 85% of the food that we're sharing is fresh. And that's really incredible when you consider how expensive fresh food can be. So it's gifts like this, it's your other support through community partner funding that allows us to provide those services in the community. And we're appreciative of both Wyoming Community Gas as well as all the other ways that the council supports our work.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. We sure appreciate the work you do for the community as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe Pete Gosar is in the room, I think.
He sure is. Director Gosar.
Thank you, Natalie, and Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for this. It is hard to follow Ted Kramer, as it always is, but it's so nice to be lumped in that good company. The Downtown Clinic celebrates its 25th year this year. Over 10,000 people have received primary care, specialty care, and other health services as a result of the vision by Mary Berman and so many others in this community. Thank you for the $8,500. It will help in our dispensary site. For instance, we'll dispense meds for less than $9 each. That's all different types of meds. And so that's 1,000, nearly, 900 to 1,000 meds dispensed to people who need health care. You'll see us out in the community with our mobile van distributing healthcare in a different way, both social work and mental health services here in the brand new year. And so this will help with that also. Once again, thank you all for selecting the downtown clinic. Natalie, thank you for sending such a nice check, and all the community gas partners. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Director Gosar. We sure appreciate the work you all do as well. And we have Joshua Nabi on the Zoom call, I believe. The floor is yours whenever you'd like.
Well, thank you, Natalie. Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, it seems like we're constantly thanking you, and it's hard to follow up what Ted and Pete have said, and they, I think, speak before me every year that I'm here. But the funding like this, especially in a year that we're faced with this year, is an incredible gift and so meaningful. This year, we're serving over 200% more than we were in 2021. We now average over 650 households visiting our food pantry alone each month, and that doesn't include the hundreds that seek assistance from us for rental assistance and utilities. It's kind of hard to imagine that we'd be needing so much assistance after COVID. But that's where we're at, and this funding allows us to do that work, to buy food, to keep people's homes warm, and it's an incredible gift. We're very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watanabe. And you mentioned that you're saying thanks to us a lot, and I think I would be remiss to not sort of maybe check that and just say, I don't know if there's enough thanks that could be returned to all of you. The city doesn't run without the work you all do. And I mean, 600 households a month would fall through the cracks. It's hard to imagine what Laramie would look like in that spot. That's a lot of hungry kids, a lot of folks that are cold, things like that. And so to all of you, our appreciation. I mean, this is, it feels like a little amount. So, Natalie, I'm going to turn it back over to you if there's anything you'd like to close with.
The only thing I was just going to say is that, again, thank you to the City of Laramie for letting me be here this evening. And as the mayor just so elegantly said, that, these are three amazing organizations that do such good work with this money. I did a quick little check before we jumped on the call today, and in the last 4 years, the City of Laramie has donated more than $98,000 just from Wyoming Community Gas to these three organizations in total, which to me is amazing. So I hope to continue doing what I do. The better I do my job, the more money we're able to give back to the member communities like the City of Laramie, and therefore back to these amazing organizations. So, here coming up next month, I'll be back at it again. So thank you guys very much for having me this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. And the work you do is appreciated as well. Less public facing, but it's sure appreciated giving us the opportunity to pass this money through like this. Josh, we'll make Ted go last next year.
I'll make a note.
Okay. Council members, we're going to move on. No public hearing. So, staff, any announcements this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have one announcement. Good news about parks.
Love hearing that. Assistant City Manager.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, you may remember that last October you approved a resolution authorizing a grant submission to Land and Water Conservation Fund for playground improvement at Optimus Park. We were notified on Monday that our grant was awarded the full $300,000 that it requested for that park. And for everybody, it's kind of karma, as you might say, is that it's to replace Optimus Park Playground with Laramie's first universally accessible playground, which is a playground where every amenity is accessible by anybody with any disability. And when you think about that, you think about the kids using it 92% of the time, and then 8% of the time, potentially a parent or grandparent with a disability being able to play with their kids at the different heights and the levels of the playground. That'll be a fantastic project and a neat addition to our community, and we're excited to have that partnership with Land and Water Conservation Fund. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Assistant City Manager. And one more thing, can you just note the dates, if you know them off the top of your head, for the pool closure as one other announcement?
Yeah, the pool closure is going to be closed Friday and Saturday this week, and it's closed Sunday due to air quality control and noise that will be affecting the ability for people to be in there as we disassemble the hot tub, the spa, and then we'll be back open on Monday regular hours.
Thank you. Great news about that play structure. I'm really excited for that. All right. Council members, any disclosures on items before us this evening? Seeing none, I will recognize the Vice Mayor for approval of the consent agenda.
I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by Pierce. City Clerk, you can call the roll.
Gabriel?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Doherty?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Shumway?
Yes.
Somerville?
Yes.
Cumby?
Yes.
And Harrington.
Yes.
There's 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Thank you, City Clerk. Consent agenda has been approved. We'll go to Councilor Pierce for item 11.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve third and final reading of original ordinance number 2082, amending Chapter 13.48.010 of the Laramie Municipal Code to regulate wastewater rates in the city of Laramie and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Pierce, second by Newman. Director Webb, welcome.
Excuse me, Mayor, City Council, good evening. Not a whole lot to add than we've had prior. We had work session on January 23rd, subsequently first, second readings, public hearing. The rates recommendation from the consultant and staff is 5% rate increase. Staff has received no public comments or anything at our offices. And so with that, I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Council members, do you have any questions on third reading? We'll go to the public on this, I suppose. Any member of the public wishing to speak to this item? Go ahead and come forward, raise your hand if you're on the Zoom call. Okay, seeing none. Council members, any comments before the vote? Okay, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Richardson?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Shumway?
Yes.
Somerville?
Yes.
Gabriel?
Yes.
O'Doherty?
Yes.
Cumby?
Yes.
And Harrington.
Yes.
That is 9 yeses and 0 no.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 12, Vice Mayor Cumby.
I move to approve third and final reading of original ordinance number 2083, amending Chapter 13.44.010 of the Laramie Municipal Code to regulate water rates in the city of Laramie and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by Pierce. Director Webb.
Yeah, Honorable Mayor, City Council, water rates, third reading, same thing, 5% recommendation on the water rates. Any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Council members, any questions on third reading? All right, any member of the public wishing to speak to this item? Go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom. Come forward if you are in the room. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment period. Council, any comments? Director Webb, I just wanted to acknowledge a 5% increase. While, you know, I we hate to raise them at all, when you presented this originally in the work session, unbelievable to me, given the increase in cost of doing anything in either of these funds. I saved the council from me saying it twice, but it goes for both items and both funds. And I would acknowledge your staff and the finance staff that work in to oversee all of this. I think the public should know how hard you all work to keep this rate down. So I just wanted to acknowledge that on final reading before we go to the vote. Vice Mayor, have at it.
And I just want to say thank you and to acknowledge the proactive approach that Public Works and the city is taking toward the maintenance of our water system. And I was so impressed that we have gone from over 100 breaks per year down to 40, and I'm sure that will continue to decrease. So I appreciate that. I think it's very forward-thinking to keep our system and our infrastructure intact, and that we are building for our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any others? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Somerville,
Yes.
Shumway,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Cumby,
Yes.
and Harrington.
Yes.
That is 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 13, Councilmember Newman.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-24, amending the fiscal year 2023-2024 biennial budget of the City of Laramie, Wyoming, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Newman, seconded by Pierce. Director Wade. Welcome.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Councilors. You are being asked to consider a reduction to the 2024 budget this evening, totaling $3,622,074. Most of this amendment reflects changes in our capital plan. So 2 projects that you adopted as part of the 2024 budget, that in prioritizing projects for 25 and 26, often with new information, department directors have recommended be pushed back in the planning. And so this sounds like a large amount. It's clearly an amendment downward, but we often do this in the middle of the cycle when we realize that plans change. It also helps us to make sure that we present a correct budget to you in our budget publications. We can't really say that the 24 budget has changed until you approve those changes. And so most of tonight really is about movement in capital. However, there are a couple of items that are new that I'm going to point out to you, and I'll keep that capital presentation at a summary because you're going to hear a lot more about that in our upcoming recommended budget sessions that will start in April. So I'll dive into the details of this amendment. In our governmental funds, we're recommending a reduction of $173,824. And in our enterprise funds, we're recommending a reduction of $3,448,250. You've already approved the MOU, which is an agreement with Albany County for the diversion program. In the general fund, that's $37,500 of this amendment. Additionally, you have already approved lease purchase financing for the new police patrol units that you approved this fall. But when we brought you that debt service financing, we forgot to pick up the amendment. And so $62,276 of this amendment is related to that debt service. Additionally, in the general fund, we are amending downward for $200,000 to push out the comprehensive plan update for 1 year. We are amending a reduction of $46,000 to move remaining funds in the ERP planning project to the actual ERP project in another fund. You'll see that change in 2025. In streets, we are transferring $270,105 to another division for administrative management of the 3rd Street Corridor Beautification Project. And so you can see the changes in the general fund are not large, but some are worth mentioning. In the Capital Construction Fund, we're recommending a reduction of $87,600 to remove the street reconstruction Willett Drive project due to the results of the PCI study. A chip seal may be recommended instead. Again, you'll learn much more about this during the capital budget sessions. And in the SPT fund, we're recommending a $60,000 increase overall. There's a $75,000 reduction to remove the Aragon Field Development project based on changes in priority, and a $115,000 transfer from the Boswell Drive reconstruction project due again to that PCI study. We're going to transfer that $115,000 and add $135,000 more to form the 15th Street Phase 2 project, which is a full reconstruction of 15th Street from approximately the south side of Ivinson Avenue to the Y-dot right-of-way on Grand Avenue. The project needs to be coordinated with UW's work on 15th for dorm construction, and appropriating funds now rather than during your normal budget processes allows for the work to occur as necessary. So we felt this was a project that we should go ahead and bring forward now. In the water fund, we're reducing $2.95 million for various projects. That includes Turner Wellfield optimization, the water master plan, and the water treatment plan PLC project, all for changes in priority. In the wastewater fund, the reduction totals $148,250. That removes the 3rd Street Boswell Palmer sewer replacement project, which is no longer needed due to the cured in-place pipe lining project. I think I said that right. And we are transferring $200,000 in funding from the Spring Creek sewer replacement Boswell 5th project to the UW project coordination project, just to reflect those changes in priorities and schedules. And finally, we are recommending a reduction of $350,000 in the solid waste fund to move the landfill concrete pavement front entrance project to 2026 based on reprioritization. So you may think, why, Jen? Why do you disclose all of this detail on these capital projects? Well, first and foremost, you have not approved these changes. Secondarily, you approve capital as specific purpose authorizations. And so just as part of budget transparency, we do feel a need to disclose these items to you. I hope I've done so in an efficient way and without taking up too much of your time this evening. The other item I would like to point out, with the implementation of our new software, you will see budget amendments coming to council sometimes more frequently and for smaller amounts. You will also see when you're asked to award a bid for greater than the budgeted amount, rather than you just authorizing that increase in budget and me picking up that item in a budget resolution later on, you'll see that budget resolution at that time. And that's because of the fantastic budget controls in our new software, because that budget has to be there for folks to contract it, and we want those contracts in the software. We've rolled out purchasing, and so what I don't want you to think is that by seeing a greater frequency of amendments or it looking a little different, that our internal processes are falling apart. In fact, our internal controls are strengthened and these processes are working better. It's just going to look a little different. So I encourage you to reach out with any questions you have about that as we migrate through these new processes. And at this time, I'm happy to take any questions you have on the budget amendment.
Thank you, Director Wade. Council members, do you have any questions on these amendments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to the public on this item. Any member of the public wishing to speak to the council on this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand if you are on Zoom. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Back to the council for any comments before the vote. Councilor O'Doherty, please.
I have to comment on the cured pipe being able to, that's when you put a liner in a pipe so it doesn't have to be replaced. Love that. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments before the vote? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel? Looks like he is absent.
He was just here.
Yeah.
He'll be popping in and out
okay.
every so often.
Somerville? Somerville? Marker's absent as well. Newman?
Yes.
Surprise.
Shumway?
Yes.
O'Doherty?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Cumby,
Yes.
and Harrington.
Yes.
That is 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 absent.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 14, Vice Mayor Cumby.
Thank you. I move to approve on third reading, original ordinance number 2081, adding section 9.13 to Laramie Municipal Code, providing certain persons charged in municipal court to qualify for a diversion program, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, seconded by Newman. City Attorney, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Holly Austin-Belaski was unexpectedly unable to be here this evening.
No problem.
So you're stuck with me.
Lucky
This is on
us.
third reading, so I think there's been a lot of discussion on this item. I'll just stand for any questions you have at this point.
Thank you, City Attorney. Council members, any questions? City Attorney, I had one question about, we had a lot of conversation about the timeline 2 weeks ago. And the timeline, to me, felt like it wouldn't be, I have been concerned that there could be maybe a discrete situation in which somebody would not be able to get in because of capacity into the program. And I don't know, I think we heard from the folks at the county last week that they would have some leeway to admit those people. Does that still strike you as true? They would admit them sort of when your space becomes available?
And the same with us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that clarification.
Let me say how this works. You don't have to be admitted in the program within 45 days. You have to be admitted, and then you go to court and do what you need to do. But the program might say, you're not going to start this program for another 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whenever we have a spot. So the timeline in the ordinance has nothing to do with when someone gets to start the program. But full disclosure, because as I said, I think the first time we talked about this, remember there's limited capacity in this program. And there are going to be situations where they might be full for a long period of time. The folks running this program don't think so, right? They think that you're going to have a lot of people who are doing a 1 month program, a 2 month program, a 3 month program, a 6 month program, and therefore there will always be rolling spots available all the time. But I don't think it's fair for anybody to promise you that there's unlimited capacity in this program. But anyway, going back to the 45 days, that has nothing to do with when you enter the program. You could enter it in 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. It does have to do with moving this along so the person takes responsibility and is ready to enter the program. Does that answer your question, Mayor?
It does, yeah, City Attorney, I appreciate that. And the extra context was helpful as well, and I share that opinion about capacity, and I had wondered about extending the 45 days for that reason alone, but I understood from what you said. That
Yeah, and I want to be very clear about that, Mayor. I mean, it is that you're ready, you have to be ready to go in 45 days, but you might not start the program for 60 days later, 30 days later, 90 days later. The program will, keep their spots moving, but that getting people ready has nothing to do with when, that doesn't stop them from entering the program later.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? We're going to go to the public on this. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak to the council on this, go ahead and come forward. Yeah, Ms. Fine, please. Just give us your name. You have 3 minutes.
If I go over, you're going to let me keep going?
I'm going to try not to.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you. My name's Linda Devine. Actually, first of all, thank you. I'm still going to argue with you sometimes, but just sitting here tonight and the different folks that were coming up here and all of the good work that's done was actually kind of moving. Having said that, I've said several times I really support this ordinance. I've also said several times that I'm concerned about the 45-day deadline of when they would have to come in and apply for it. And I want to expand just a little bit on that today. I think you're tying the judge's hands if you don't give him some discretion to extend that deadline. One thing that we all have in common here, including the county attorney, me, I think y'all, is that we all have to take an oath, and we take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And part of the Constitution and the amendment is the Fourth Amendment for unwarranted searches and seizures. I think we need to make sure in our quest to allow people to use the diversion program so that they don't get a conviction, that we're careful that we're not allowing people to exercise their right to challenge something that they believe could be unconstitutional. And we hear about we're wanting them to hold accountability. I agree with that. But we also need to make sure that those that are enforcing the law are held accountable. I don't believe our law enforcement officers are intentionally going out and violating people's rights, but sometimes mistakes are made. So I am going to ask you again and urge you to consider amending the, I had the section written down, but you know what I'm talking about, that 45-day requirement to, at a minimum, allow the judge to give an extension for good cause. And that good cause could be different things. You recently hired a judge and you're wanting him to have discretion for different things and different sentencing. I don't know why this would be any different. And I'd be happy to stand for questions. Y'all never want to ask them, though, so. But thank you again, and I do appreciate all the hard work that y'all have done, the city's done, as well as the county.
Thank you, Ms. Devine. Any other members of the public wishing to speak to the council on this item? Go ahead and come forward in the room. Raise your hand if you are on Zoom. Okay, I'm seeing none. I'm going to close public comment. Back to the council for any comments before the vote. Councilor Doherty, please.
When I asked the chief about Ms. Devine's concern, I had less concern, so I would like to hear from him, if that's appropriate, about why he didn't see a conflict, if that's appropriate. Or Bob.
I'm going to recognize City Attorney first.
I guess the legal question's being asked.
Come on forward.
It's a little hard. I'm happy to stay.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, please. Yeah, City Attorney, go ahead. And maybe.
Well, I'm not sure what the question is. I take extreme umbrage that we've drafted an ordinance to violate anybody's constitutional rights. I have taken an oath to this Constitution many, many times in my life, and I take it seriously. I've devoted the last 10 years of my long, long career to help people in this community in drug court to get second chances. I consider this an extension of what I have done, and the suggestion that because folks have to take responsibility and move quickly and get into a diversion program, that their constitutional rights are violated, that troubles me. They're not. If you have a more specific question, I'll get off my soapbox.
Thank you, City Attorney. Councilor Doherty.
My understanding is that before charges are brought, the city attorney would have to view the footage of the arrest, and they would know if there was a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Then they wouldn't be inclined to bring charges. So your office would review. It has to be a good case, is what I understand.
Well said.
Case, okay.
Council members, any other, Vice Mayor Cumby, please.
I just have a clarification question that kind of goes more general than that. In the case that just some untoward circumstance came up, it was my understanding from our last meeting that the judge would have discretion to delay the 45 days, or no?
No.
So if that person...
It's like, there's other things that are mentioned here, like speedy trial, right? People have rights to a speedy trial. There is a deadline. There are hard deadlines in these matters, and this would be another one. That the person needs to get ready to go into this program in 45 days.
So you're saying regardless of circumstance, there would be no...
That's right.
Even if they got seriously ill?
Well, I mean, we can't...
I'm saying any circumstance. I mean, I'm assuming that the judge has a little discretion in that. Or is it written in stone, absolutely?
This is the law.
Okay.
Then, and once this is passed, it's the law.
It's the law, regardless of circumstance?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilor Newman, please.
I've been outspoken, so this is going to be no different. Obviously, I've been through this program. Back home, it was the same thing. When I say home, I mean Kansas. I had to take responsibility for what I did within whatever it was. I don't even know what the time frame was there. And same thing, like if I was sick, I had to go. And I also didn't start my program for I think it was 140 days, something like that, because the program was full or the capacity, whatever the case was. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. So just some afterthoughts of something like whoever is going into this program should take accountability for what they've done. If they don't, in my opinion, the program is not designed for them.
Thank you, Councilor Newman. Any other questions, council members? Councilor Richardson, please.
Thank you. I'm curious if the county has a similar kind of outline to their ordinance as well, that it's a 45-day or other sort of day timeline also.
They don't have an ordinance.
Okay, that's where they were last time too. Okay, thank you.
Do they have a comparable deadline in whatever?
Well, they have state statute that they have to follow, and I'm not competent to answer that question.
Councilor Doherty.
For me, the distinction is if you feel like you were unjustly arrested, then you should seek counsel and not go in and say, yeah, I did it. And I think no matter what the program, a person has to figure that out and know to get counsel if they thought something was wrong. I don't know. A lot of people are naive about, that maybe you shouldn't plead guilty to everything. And so you should get a lawyer to check out, or at least, talk to a lawyer. So I feel like it's a different set of people that somebody that messed up and knows they messed up, this is for them. Somebody that thinks they were wronged, it's not for them. So that's why I was less concerned about Fourth Amendment, and I didn't mean to insult you. I knew your stand-up guy.
You didn't.
Thank you, Councilor Doherty. Any others before the vote? Okay, just to weigh in a little bit myself, I've had plenty of conversations on this topic as well, so I think it's worthwhile for me to explain myself a little bit in my vote. I think that this is, there may be things that we haven't contemplated yet that we miss. We will reevaluate this if need be. This will be a significant improvement to the way people experience the justice system in Laramie, and in no small way, because it'll be the same whether it's municipal court or circuit court. And I think I'm quite appreciative of our staff for seeking this grant funding that made this a possibility, and for their work in bringing this quickly so that this program could be stood up in that timeline. And I hope no one is hung up on these concerns, because I think, to Councillor Newman's point, the admission that you did something wrong is important. Without that, you may not find the sort of rehabilitation that this ordinance would hope for. And if it becomes a problem, if we see that this was a gap, I have no doubt that our staff is going to bring it to us as an issue, right? They don't want people sort of caught in the pinch between things. So I'm voting yes favorably on this, and with excitement. I think this is a significant improvement for folks in the city of Laramie, and I think it will change, in particular, a lot of young people's lives who make mistakes in college and then go try to join the workforce and have an MIP, something of the sort that follows them for the remainder of their lives. In every job application they have to, that has a background check, they have to acknowledge this with their employer, something of the sort. So I thank the staff, both the prosecutor and city attorney, for bringing this, and the folks at the county as well. City clerk, please go ahead and call the roll.
Newman?
Yes.
Shumway?
Yes.
Somerville?
Yes.
Gabriel?
Yes.
O'Doherty?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Cumby?
Yes.
And Harrington?
Yes.
There's 9 yeses and 0 noes.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved on third reading. We'll move on to item 15, Vice Mayor Cumby.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-25, nominating City of Laramie representatives to serve on the Albany County Transportation Authority, ACTA, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Cumby, second by O'Doherty. City Manager, hi.
Good evening, Council. This is a resolution to appoint two folks to the newly reinvigorated and reformed Albany County Transportation Authority. By way of a little bit of history, the county had formed ACTA many, many years ago. It went dormant. They basically dissolved that board due to its dormancy. And then recently, we have determined as a community that there is a need to reactivate the Albany County Transportation Authority. Largely so that they can be a partner to the city as we expend the grant that we received from WYDOT and USDOT to put together a transportation plan for Laramie and Albany County. So with that in mind, the Board of Commissioners on February 20th reformed ACTA officially. I included that resolution in your packet for your reference. Two nominees from the city are requested, one to serve a 3-year and the other to serve a 2-year term. In order to get your discussion rolling tonight, I am suggesting that the city manager serve a 3-year term, if you're amenable to that, and a member of the governing body serve a 2-year term. But of course, you can flip-flop that or do whatever you feel is best. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
City Manager, would it be appropriate for, because we have, approximately a year, maybe 9 months before the council reappoints members in sort of our course, we would reappoint at that point, correct? It would just be, okay.
That is correct. And of course, you could appoint the same person come next January, or you could appoint somebody else.
Okay. And would the city manager, will it be the city manager or the city manager's appointee?
That's a really good question. I actually, if I didn't say this, I would suggest it be the city manager or city manager's designee. Just in terms of transparency, for the immediate year or two while we are completing that transit plan, I will probably serve directly on the board. But over the long term, I think I or any future city manager would like the opportunity to appoint or designate someone in their place.
Okay, thank you. And can I ask that folks speak into the microphone closely for the folks on Zoom? They're having a little bit of trouble hearing us. Councilor Richardson, is that any better if I talk closely?
It's something funky, like it's going out and in somehow. It's weird, and everyone's microphones are doing it. So I think it's something with the system.
Uh-oh. Okay, we'll see what we can sort out.
Thank you.
So disregard my note about putting your face very close to your microphone. Okay. Thank you, City Manager. I got distracted there. Council members, any questions? Councilor Pierce?
Yeah, thanks. Do we know, like, what day of the week, what time? Do we have any of those details about this?
Thank you, Mayor, through you, Councilor Pierce. Not at this time. My understanding is the Board of Commissioners will adopt bylaws. I'm not sure when, but soon. Those bylaws, I doubt, will set a specific date or time. You know, typically bylaws are more, you know, a monthly meeting or a quarterly meeting. So as far as I know, there is no level of detail like that yet. The way the county commissioners set it up, there are representatives of the county and of the city, and it's a smaller board. So I would think that maybe there's some nimbleness to pick dates that work for the people serving.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Pierce. Anyone else have questions?
My question is, who all are willing to serve on this board?
Good question. If no one else is interested, I'm interested in serving on this, only because I have an interest in this. Anyone else? Because I'm not attached. Okay. All right.
I was going to nominate Mayor Harrington for this position.
And Vice Mayor, we would need an amendment to, let's see, where would this be? Section 2, to insert a name. Right here.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm
You would move to
confused.
amend section.
I move to amend Section 2 to nominate Brian Harrington for a term of 2 years.
Manager for that one. Sorry, I got you messed up.
So
city manager.
to nominate city manager
I'm sorry.
Janine Jordan for a term of 3 years, and Brian Harrington to serve in the 2-year term of service on the board of the Albany County Transportation Authority as the City of Laramie's representative.
Do we need to add or designate?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion by Cumbie, seconded by Gabriel. City Manager, do you want us to include designee in this portion?
I think for this resolution, it'll be fine, because I will handle this for the next year or two.
The only note would be, this will then say in the resolution forming the board that just you could serve. So should we could friendly amendment it to nominate the city manager or her designee?
Or designee.
Or designee.
Oh, thank
sorry,
you.
Not her. Okay.
Councilor Pierce, thank you.
Councilor Gabriel, do you agree with that change? Is that okay?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay. Any discussion?
Can we hear what the clerk got from that?
You got that? Great. He's a pro. Pro at translating our nonsense. As is all the staff, you know. But we get through it. If I'd quit moving the computer on the vice mayor, it should be okay. Okay.
Takes a village.
It does. It does. Okay. Council members, any discussion here? All right. We'll go to the public on the amendment. Any member of the public wish to speak to this amendment? Seeing none, close public comment. Back to the council. Okay. City Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment.
Richardson?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Gabriel?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Somerville?
Yes.
Shumway?
Yes.
O'Doherty?
Yes.
Cumbie?
Yes.
And Harrington.
Yes.
That is 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Thank you, City Clerk. The amendment has been approved. We're back on the main motion. Council members, I'm just going to go to the public on this. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to the main motion, go ahead and come forward. Raise your hand on Zoom. Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Back to the council for any comments. Vice Mayor, please.
I just think that the that our current formation of this Albany County Transportation Authority, that the formation of this board coinciding with the community's desire for passenger rail, that I just think it may strengthen our assertion to be considered, that we do have this transportation board in place. So I think this is a very positive thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any others? City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll when you're ready.
Okay. Newman,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Shumway,
Yes.
Somerville,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
O'Doherty,
Yes.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Cumby,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That is 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to 16. Councilor O'Doherty.
I move to approve original ordinance 2085, adding Laramie Municipal Code, Chapter 2.70, creating the Laramie Human Rights and Relations Commission on first reading.
Second.
Motion by O'Doherty, seconded by Pierce. City Manager, please.
Good evening, Council. So as you know, we had a work session a few weeks ago to discuss the concept of a Human Rights and Relations Commission for the City of Laramie. Management Analyst Brandon Moen is here. He was, of course, at your work session as well. And Brandon did a great deal of research looking at how these commissions are put to work across the United States and many, probably hundreds, if not thousands of cities. We provided that research and at that time said we would bring back an ordinance to establish an HR²C or whatever whatever acronym we're going to use for it. And so this would be first reading tonight, giving you the opportunity to start that ball rolling. Based on our research, I do believe that there is usefulness to having this board here in our board and commission structure for the City of Laramie. I know we all need more boards to serve on, but this is not an area where we have a citizen group that we can touch base with as a touchstone to help us understand how we can better round out governmental activities and services and make recommendations to us on how those can be provided more equitably and to give us that kind of feedback. So with that said, I know we talked about this just a few weeks ago. I won't go into much more detail. I'll let you know the ordinance on first reading is in your packet. I also included draft bylaws that you would pass. If this ordinance makes it to third reading, you would pass the bylaws presumably as a companion item to third reading.
Thank you, City Manager. Council members, do you have any questions on first reading? Okay. City Manager, do you have a preference for when, because it's first reading, I'm not gonna, let's make a plan. If anybody is interested in serving on this, we can discuss it some other time. Maybe we don't fight it out on first reading. It's asking questions about the commission itself. And then for second reading, we can bring those amendments for interested council members. Is that, if that's okay? If anybody is interested in fighting it out right now, let's get after it, but okay. No objections? Great. Okay, council members, any questions? I think I just asked you that, but I rambled for a minute. Maybe something shook loose. Okay. We'll go to the public on this. If there's any members of the public wishing to speak to the council on this item, please go ahead and come forward. Seeing none, close public comment. Back to the council for any questions or comments. Can I get a little clarification just on the difference between, this is going to seem like a silly question, but that's fine, human rights and relations? Why are we using two R's in the middle? Like the distinction between rights and relations would be helpful. And if that changes sort of the scope of the committee, because it will be cleaner without, one.
Right. Honestly, Mayor, that is sort of a hybrid approach. Some communities call this Human Rights Commission, others call it a Human Relations Commission. I'm going to ask Brandon if he wants to come up and talk about that point of his research. I will tell you the reason I suggested Human Rights and Relations is because, as you know, the purpose of this body as we've designed it would be to uphold Wyoming's constitutional declaration that all members members of the human race are equal. And so in my view, that's a sort of a rights issue. But undoubtedly, I think when you look at the remainder of the purpose and charge of this board, as we drafted it, they would also be working in the space of human relations by helping to, working to build understanding amongst community members about issues surrounding diversity, for instance.
Thank you. Mr. Moen, welcome.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, as far as naming conventions go, through the research, especially of that research I mentioned in our work session regarding that Boston study that studied all of these commissions all over America, there isn't necessarily a specific naming convention. More typically, relations pertains to those quasi-judicial commissions, whereas that Human Rights Commission would pertain more to a outreach advisory commission. However, those aren't steadfast rules, and it's more just the preference of the council and the creating body to name it as they please.
Thank you.
I stand for any other questions.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Council members, any other questions? Okay. City Clerk, I'll have you call the roll on first reading.
Gabriel?
Did I think yes. To the public. Yeah, I did. Okay, great. Thank you,
Then I have a comment.
Oh, forgive me. Councilor Pierce has a comment.
Yeah, I actually like both rights and relations, because I think if we went without rights, then you're going to see human relations and may get mixed up with HR departments or something. Nothing against HR departments.
You have your own board, Patty.
But you never know. And I think rights basically speaks to the purpose to some extent. So I like both for whatever that means or stands for.
Thank you, Councilor Pierce. And I'm sorry, Council, that I cut everybody off there. Vice Mayor.
I agree with Councilor Pierce. I think the use of both allows the title to fully convey what the purpose of the committee is. So I would go with both.
Great.
You know, it's kind of hard to say all at once, but.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Back to you, City Clerk, and you, Councilor Gabriel. Sorry for the false start.
Okay, Gabriel?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Doherty?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Shumway?
Yes.
Somerville?
Yes.
Cumby?
Yes.
And Harrington?
Yes.
That is 9 yeses and 0 noes.
Thank you, City Clerk. That has passed first reading. Move on to item 17, public comments on non-agenda items. Any member of the public can speak to the council by coming forward in the room or raising your hand on Zoom. You have 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, closing that public comment. Council members, any future work session topics you'd like to add to the list?
So I do.
Councilor Pierce, please.
Yeah, nothing to add, but I do have a question regarding one of our yet-to-be-scheduled work sessions is overlay district for Ward 1, which I'm assuming, although I could have it wrong, has to do with the west side.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think some of that got wrapped up into the discussions for historic designation through the Preservation Board.
Right.
So maybe isn't timely at this point.
Well, and then next week at our work session, we have an update, and I know it's going to be ongoing, the West Side Neighborhood Plan that's currently in process. So I'm just kind of wondering if we couldn't kind of put them together maybe, or no, maybe they're too far apart and can't be.
As somebody whose name is on here, I'm okay with us polling the overlay district for now. Councilor Somerville would have to agree as well, but I mean, if you're just trying to thin out the list here a little bit, that seems okay, because that was largely going to be driven by Councilor Somerville and myself, and maybe isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to thin out the list, it's just that I attended one of the sessions, and the topic, was approached or broached or whatever the right word is, because it's getting late, even though it's really only going on at 8 o'clock. But anyway, So maybe it can work together, I guess is what I'm thinking, but maybe not. Because I know our interns probably have a very specific assignment deadline, because it's
Right.
part of their, I got to graduate, kind of thing.
Councilor Somerville, did you want to add to this as well before we go to the city manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Unfortunately, the sound has gone out, so you guys are really tiny whispers again. So I can hear very small pieces of the conversation, and I would just, whatever you guys think is best, I trust you guys in terms of the work sessions.
Thank you, Councilor Somerville. City manager.
I'll speak close to the mic as well, Mayor, and hopefully folks on the other side can hear. I recently had a conversation with the development director about this very work session, and I think Councilor Pierce, your suggestion is welcomed by staff. We also thought the work session a week from today would be very informative to you, and really we need to get through that work with the West Side neighborhood over the next many months before I think we'd even be in a position to address this. So if you want to delay it or take it off, we support it, and we can always support you if you want to bring it back in the future.
Thank you, City Manager. Yeah, I mean, I would be favorable to rolling these all together. I think that's great. My intention was really to help folks find a solution to a problem they were facing, and it seems like we're aimed at it anyway. So maybe with a different tool. We weren't, Councilor Somerville and I had discussed if this was even the proper tool for solving the problem they were hoping to solve, which was sort of a fear of gentrification. Okay. Vice Mayor.
I've really been impressed by our community members, our downtown business members who have come to us respectfully to ask us to do something about enforcement in the downtown area. I've also had similar comments. I shop and go downtown, and I've had similar comments made to me by some shop owners. Additionally, I've had phone calls and emails from older citizens who are having difficulty finding parking downtown. And I think that we really do need to get at the bottom of, are there parking spots that are staying occupied 24/7? And I'd like to have a work session to look at what we can do to increase enforcement and to have people respect those limits so that there is more of a turnover and availability of parking.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilor Newman, are you on that as well?
Yeah, but I would like to see if we could open it up to not just downtown, because I get other calls about enforcement as well. So if we can just open it up as like a city plan or something. But
I would agree to that.
I'm okay with that.
Maybe we get an update on parking enforcement.
Yeah, Mayor, and if I could, I'd be happy to do that. I do think that maybe two structured work sessions, one citywide, non-downtown, and the other downtown would be advisable, because the downtown issue is a real can of worms to unpack, as I think we all know, and I think staff have some suggestions that we hope to visit with you about this year. So if we could have two.
City Manager,
I'll need to have more work sessions.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. I think they are both important, but distinct. You guys good?
I'm good.
Great. We took one off, added two. But it's not nothing. Councilor Newman, you got another one?
Well, theoretically, we can delete the last one, because we've been kind of working on that as we go. So I don't know if a work session at this time would be reasonable with our changes that we've already done.
Okay. City Manager, you don't have anything upcoming on public comment on non-agenda related topics, do you? Okay, great. We'll pull that one then too, for
As
now.
long as,
Councilor Gabriel
is
needs
okay
to-
with it.
Thanks, everyone. Councilor Gabriel, how do you feel about that? Following our changes recently about removing the public comment work session, is there still something you'd like to see there?
I've been kind of back and forth here tonight. I'm sorry, I haven't followed a lot of this.
You're fine.
But, and it's hard, as Councilor Somerville has mentioned, to hear what's going on at times.
Sorry, Council. Yeah, sorry about that to all of you on Zoom.
Just all of a sudden, it just kind of goes almost no volume whatsoever, but anyway.
Weird. Okay. Yeah, and I don't know if you'll catch this or not, but we had just talked about removing the public comment work session that your name is on, as well as Counselor Newman, because we've made because we've made so many changes to public comments recently. But if there's something specifically you'd still like to see out of that, we can keep it. That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Great. All right, folks, anything else you want to add? Or I suppose we're in a mood to delete some stuff. We are removing the options for diversion programs as well as of tonight. So we can update this list a little bit. That's exciting. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. I'm going to go to Councillor Pierce then for our final item.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we adjourn.
Motion by Pierce, seconded by Newman. All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.